Hello, everyone. I'm excited for you to be here today. That means that you want to learn more about your immune system and how your body works and how you can support it. That means that you want to be empowered for your health and your family's health. And that makes me so excited because that is what I love to do. I love to empower people in their health so that they can be their own healers. So I'm glad you're joining us. I am Dr. Brigitte Rossi, and today I'm going to discuss the power of your immune system and immunity and what that all means and how you can support it. So the immune system is a complex network of cells and organs that defend the body against infection. So it's comprised by a lot of different systems. You have your white blood cells, the antibodies, the complement system, lymphatic system, spleen, bone marrow, and thymus. All right, so unlike your heart, where you can feel your heart beating, and so you know it's working, the immune system, however, is silent. So you are not aware of it, except it's working 24/7, protecting us from thousands of potential deadly attacks every single day. So we're going to examine the different lines of defense that's used by the immune system in your body to protect us. All right, so the first line of defense, if you think of the army, you have the first line of defense, then the second and the third. So your first line of defense is known as your innate immunity or your inborn, things that you are born with. And there's a range of protective mechanisms that we're all born with. The innate immune system provides nonspecific protection against various pathogens, such as viruses, bacteria, fungi, protozoans, and worms. So many things that our body is really watching out for without us even being aware of it. A number of defense mechanisms serve the innate immune system. So that there's physical barriers, such as your skin. Your skin is part of your first line of defense. So in your skin, you have chemical barriers such as antimicrobial proteins that will harm or destroy any invaders. And they have cells that will attack foreign cells and body cells harboring infectious agents. All right, so your body is so smart and it is watching out for you every second. Before we move on to the second line of defense, I want to dive a little bit deeper into the defense mechanisms of your innate immunity. All right. So also part of your first line of defense is going to be your mucosal membranes. So you have your skin and then also your mucosal membranes, which is the lining of the respiratory system, the gastrointestinal and genitourinary tracts. So in your skin, you actually secrete fatty acids and enzymes that will be part of your protective barrier to keep invaders out. So the fatty acid, oleic acid, that can kill certain bacteria, while the enzymes lysosome can break down the outer wall of certain bacteria, right? I just love this. It's so amazing how your body works. Now, the internal mucous membranes, they also provide a protective barrier of cells, and they're constantly being renewed. So the membranes can trap small particles and prevent them from attaching to your cells, in the cells. Now, it's another crucial aspect of the innate immunity in the chemicals and is the chemical barriers to the infection. So when the microbes penetrate the body's protective barriers and enter into the intestinal tissues, they can encounter a variety of chemical substances that attempt to prevent it from growing. There's many mechanisms and cells by which chemicals will work to harm or destroy any invaders that happen. So this process is going to go beyond the scope that we can discuss here. Just know that our body is continually on the lookout for foreign invaders and is ready to strike at any time. So we have early induced responses, and then of the innate immunity and we're going to discuss a little more of that. many of you are very familiar with this response, but many of you also only know the dangers it poses, and that's inflammation. Inflammation, when most people think of it as a bad thing. But inflammation can actually help in the elimination process of an infection by keeping it in check. It kind of holds it in a container area until your body's acquired immune response has time to develop and take care of it. So infection often can if it's not handled, can result in some tissue damage, and that also can trigger inflammatory response. The signs of inflammation are going to include pain, swelling, redness, and fever, which are induced by chemical releases of macrophages. Macrophages are what eat up the dead cells and the unhealthy cells. Okay, so it is that chemical response that's causing that inflammation. Now, so inflammation is a healthy protective immune response. However, what's not healthy is when chronic inflammation exists, it can lead to a chronic disease. So if we're talking about acute inflammation, that is healthy. If you have an injury and your body's response is inflammation, that is a healthy, normal response of the body. It's that long-term inflammation that is what we want to avoid. All right. Now, we'll move on to the second line of defense right now, and that's called your acquired immunity. Now, I really want to be clear here that there's a couple types of acquired immunity. Acquired means that it's named because you're not born with it. It's not an innate immunity. Okay. You acquire it through exposure to the pathogen. So you can have naturally acquired immunity, or you can actually have artificially acquired immunity. Okay, we're going to discuss a little bit of the differences between them. Naturally acquired active immunity occurs when the person has been actively exposed to a live pathogen naturally. You develop the disease, whether you have lots of symptoms or just a little bit of the symptoms or none, you've been exposed to it. Your body naturally, right, fights it off, and now you have an immunity from it. So it becomes immune as a result of the primary immune response. Artificially acquired active immunity can be induced by vaccines or substances that contain an antigen. All right, so this line of defense is acquired from exposure to an infection or another person's antibodies. So that's the acquired immunity. And there are some differences. So when we talk about acquired immunity, that can also come from breastfeeding. When you acquire the immune cells, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit more in a second. Lymphocytes are the cells, right? Lymphocytes are your cells, your lymph, right? And that's your part of your immune system. Your lymphocytes originate from the stem cells in the bone marrow, and they can travel and multiply in response to appropriate stimulation. So you might have heard the terms T cells and B cells. These are referring to different types of lymphocytes. Both the T and the B cells recognize and help eliminate foreign molecules, but they do so in different ways. Lymphocytes are distinguished from other cells by their capacity to recognize foreign molecules by means of different receptors. So on the cells, there's different receptors on them. And the receptor molecule is a special protein whose shape is designed to fit foreign molecules. So you think of it as a special key that fits into the lock, okay? Any foreign material that binds specifically to a receptor molecule is called an antigen. And antigens include molecules that are found on invading microorganisms. So viruses, bacteria, protozoans, fungi, right? Molecules that are located on the surface of the foreign substances, even pollen and dust, or transplanted tissue, right? That's why when you get someone gets an organ transplant too, they're worried about how your immune system is going to respond. Is it going to attack it or not? Because it is a foreign invader, and it depends on that lock and key. So certain antigens can induce an immune response when they bind to that receptor molecule. So one of the many incredible abilities the immune system has is that it keeps a record of every microbe it has ever defeated. This enables our immune system to recognize and destroy the microbe quickly if it ever enters our body again, before it can multiply and make you sick. However, some infections, like the flu and the common cold, have been fought many times. And this is because there are so many different viruses or strains of the same virus that can cause these illnesses with the same symptoms. So therefore, if you catch a cold or a flu from one virus, it doesn't give you immunity against the other type of virus, okay? But our record keeping is how we acquire immunity through natural immunity or artificially acquired immunity, okay? And there are some differences between the two types of natural or acquired immunity, and I'll discuss that in a little bit. So the immune system, when you have acquired immunity, the immune system is triggered by a small amount of an illness to produce the antibodies, and that enables the body to quickly launch an immune attack to kill off the virus for future exposure. So you have short-term immunity or long-term immunity. And that's one of the biggest differences when we talk about breastfeeding and the immunity that a baby gets through breast milk and exposure, because it goes through the first line of defense before getting to the second line of defense, right? Versus with a vaccine, you're bypassing your first line of defense and your second line of defense. You're bypassing it, and you're going straight into the system, into the bloodstream, right, with a vaccination. And so because you're bypassing that first line of defense and second, it is more of a short-term immunity. And that's why all the booster shots, when you get a vaccine, it only might, if it protects you, if it worked like it was supposed to, then it's going to create that short-term immunity. Versus a long-term immunity, somebody who contracts it naturally, and it's gone through the first line of defense. Your body has warning. It touched your skin. It went into the mucous membrane. Your body has warning that it's coming, and it can prepare its second line of defense already with the antibodies needed to help take care of it. So then with that, it is lifelong immunity. It is that long-term immunity that we're looking for. So those are a few different differences. It is absolutely amazing. I was so grateful to be able to breastfeed my children when they were ill, because when I was exposed to whatever bacteria or virus or allergen, whatever it was, I was able to create the antibodies for it. And then therefore I was able to now pass that on through my breast milk to my child. So my child now, who hasn't developed their own acquired immunity, they haven't acquired it yet, right? But they have their own inborn. They have their first line of defense. They have their second line of defense. They have all of that inborn stuff. Now they're getting backup by my acquired immunity through the breast milk. So it's a very powerful thing that we have that we can pass on to our children, that is very supportive and natural, and we don't have to worry about side effects. What we are exposed to dictates our acquired immunity. So everybody has different acquired immunity, okay? And that is based on what you were exposed to, of course. It's right there in the words, right? So depending on where you live, if you were breastfed, if you have had vaccinations at birth, what your exposure to different environmental conditions are all of those will impact our ability to fight off various diseases. So if you've ever experienced allergies when you visit somewhere for the first time, that's due to the exposure of something in your system that you're not familiar with. But next time you visit, you may not have the same reaction, and that you can thank your acquired immunity. It is so amazing to me how this all works. We are so blessed to have a body that knows what it's doing at all times. We don't even have to think about it. You don't have to think on, oh, first line of defense, second line of defense. Okay, let's make those antibodies. Oh, lysosomes, let's go. You know, we don't have to think of that. It's all right there. And because we're all exposed to different pathogens, we have our own unique immune defenses. So it varies from person to person. But we all have that similar innate response, such as the skin barrier. Our acquired immunity can be vastly different, though. So in fact, there's been recent studies where and with whom we live are actually responsible for 60 to 80% of the differences between individual immune systems, while genetics takes care of the rest, the 20 to 40%. So very important where we live, our environment, right? Now, you may have heard of an overactive immune system. An overactive immune system can result from a number of conditions, including allergies and autoimmune diseases. Allergic diseases will include allergies to foods, medications, stinging insects, anaphylaxis, hay fever, sinus infections, asthma, hives, dermatitis, eczema. Those are all allergic reactions, right? These conditions can result when the immune system makes an overly strong response to an allergen. And then we have autoimmune diseases that include things like MS, autoimmune thyroid disease, type 1 diabetes, SLE, rheumatoid, right? There's so many that we could name off. When the immune system mounts a response against a normal component of the body, that's autoimmune, auto meaning yourself, and you're having a reaction to yourself. That is when your immune system is overreactive, and that is something that we can address. An underactive immune system is also a problem. That can be an immune compromise or immunodeficiency. That means it's not functioning correctly, and it makes people more vulnerable to infection. And this can be very life-threatening in severe cases. Immune deficiency can include all kinds of different named diseases as well. I'm not going to go ahead and list them today. But they can result as, this condition can result as a result of medical treatment, or maybe caused by another disease that somebody has. So now that you have a little bit more in-depth understanding of the immune system and how it works, we also want to look at what we can do to strengthen our immune system. We have the ability to boost our immune system function, even in its complexity, and it's constantly under study. The study of what we can do is something that is ongoing. I'm always looking at new research in this field. And this is due to the fact that the immune system is a system. It requires balance and harmony along all of its parts. It is very interconnected, and the immune response is complex. So let's take a look at the effects of lifestyle. We talked about how the environment takes care of 60 to 80% of our acquired immunity, right? And so we want to look at what our lifestyle and how it's being researched to give your immune system a boost. So your first line of defense for your immune system is to live a healthy lifestyle. Not only will your immune system benefit, but every part of your body will function better by following these tips, all right? So first, the foundation to our health, eating right. We want to eat a diet that's high in raw fruits and vegetables. We want to create a balanced nutrition. And if you're not eating all of the best things for you and you're not getting it fresh out of the garden and whatnot, it's important to also take supplementation to support your body, okay? Then we have exercise. We need to exercise regularly. That helps stimulate the immune system to flush out what's not good for us and to boost it in its function. Rest and managing our sleep, also extremely important. Okay, so we want to maintain a healthy weight because that will cause stress on our body. We also want to make sure we're sleeping properly. We're getting all the good amount of sleep so that our body has time to rest, because that's when it's going to be healing. We also want to make sure we're reducing our toxic load. So things like smoking, we want to avoid. Things like drinking alcohol, right? We might want to drink in moderation, nothing in excess, because we want to reduce our toxic load. Also making sure you know what ingredients you're exposing your body to is extremely important, because there are a lot of ingredients in our products that can depress or lower your immune function. So that is something that we will be talking about in future classes, so that you can understand how to read a label and you can reduce your toxic load. All right. Then your informed self-care. What do you do when things arise? That is very important, because you have choices, and some choices may affect your immune function and some in a good way or in a bad way. And so you need to know what your choices are. And lastly is your proactive health care. What are you doing to stay proactive on your health? Chiropractic care has research where it can, somebody under regular chiropractic care, their immune system functions 200% better than somebody who's not under regular chiropractic care. So what practices are you doing in your proactive health care to make sure that you are healthy and that your body is strong and working to the best of its ability and backing you up? So it's been very well established that people who are malnourished are more vulnerable to infectious diseases. That's why eating right is the foundation. It's a huge foundation to our health. So other groups of individuals who are susceptible to micronutrient malnutrition is the elderly. This is because older people tend to eat less, and often they don't have a lot of variety in their diets. So they have micronutrient deficiencies. So they might have zinc deficiencies, selenium, iron, copper, folic acid, vitamins A, B, D, C, E, right? All of those. And that can alter your immune response. So if you suspect that your diet isn't providing you all of your micronutrients, a daily multivitamin and mineral supplement can help increase the power of your immune system. I mentioned that before. I'm just repeating it because it is so crucial. Okay? We talked about stress. Chronic stress is so common in today's society. We have very busy schedules. We have packed calendars, whether it be from home, working from home, or not. We have so much demand on us than other times in history. And so these stressors can be financial burdens, anxieties, and all of those contribute to our chronic stress. So when we experience stress, our hormones, there's hormones that are released through the body, and that's helpful when we're in danger. So short-term stress, again, just like inflammation, short-term inflammation is healthy for the body. Short-term stresses are also healthy for the body. However, when you're under chronic stress, just like chronic inflammation, that can cause to other diseases or other problems, right? So the results of chronic stress can lead to a never-ending list of illnesses ranging from depression to heart attacks. And during times of stress, our immune system can also be inhibited. So then we're also more susceptible to getting sick. So these are all things that we really want to make sure that we're managing, and we're here to support you. So I know I've covered a lot of information today, and you may have questions. And so if you want to take some time to let the information sink in, that's fine. We are here for you. We're here to help you take that next step to make sure your immune system is healthy, to get you on a, get your health foundation, your wellness lifestyle routine in order so that you can live a healthy, happy life, and you can pass those things on to your children. So have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon.